And we're starting to see that in, I think this is the third influence now, which we're going from the taxation concept to changing numbers. And as a CPA by training, we focus on things like SEC reporting. And what have we seen in the marketplace so far? Well, you know, a half dozen years or so ago now, we saw the change to the FASB 141, 142 rules. And if you forget, that's the notion that although you can't put intellectual property in your balance sheet when you create it internally, if you buy it, you have to, and then you have to value it for impairment over time. When those rules were first adopted, you know, folks in my industry gave a lot of speeches about how that was the tipping point, the beginning of this new transition. And frankly, relatively little has happened as a result of that. But perhaps it's just our perspective on time. Because what we've seen happen since then is in Germany, the accounting rules have changed. And now, if you are a German company with a negative shareholder equity, your liabilities are exceeding your assets, it's not something that people want to report on, right? So now, in Germany, you can go into the patent pool, you can grab intellectual property that is not on your balance sheet, and you can value it and put it on your balance sheet sufficient to give you par between your assets and the liabilities. That's pretty interesting. In Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange announced in the first quarter of this year a new guidance which said that basically if you have material intellectual property as part of your value, we want you to disclose that in your public filings. And the reason the Hong Kong Exchange did that, in our view, is they are trying to distinguish themselves from the Singapore Exchange, or from the Abu Dhabi Exchange, or from other exchanges around the world. And for tech-heavy, startup type businesses, it's a real source of frustration that when they go public, they can't tell the world about how great their IP is because of fear of the lawyers and the accountants. So the Hong Kong Exchange believes that it's a competitive advantage. High-tech company, startup, come go public in Hong Kong because we have guidance that will allow you, encourage you, or require you to list your intellectual property on the balance sheet. And take these into account. Now, maybe it's been 6 years instead of the 2 that we thought it would be, but now we have the U.S. reporting profession, in certain cases, requiring the reporting of IP. We have the German reporting industry, in certain cases, requiring the reporting of IP. And now we have the Asian exchanges, in certain cases, allowing or showing the reporting of IP. Are those big changes? Is that meaningful or not? I contend that in a span of 6 years, as a beginning point, it's very significant. And it's going to lead to more broad, more sweeping public reporting requirements. The other changing numbers that we see that's probably more akin to this audience are the changing damages accounting. And it's not just the CAFC or the district courts that are eliminating what prior to this were commonly accepted methods like the 25% rule. The greater concern that we see it is this inconsistent, emerging patchwork quilt of Dahlberg decisions. That there is very little consistency between the courts as to what is in or what is out from a damage methodology perspective. A settlement agreement, is it in or is it out? Well, I don't know. A license agreement, is it comparable or is it not? I don't know, right? Because it depends very much on the practice of that particular court. And if you look at Dahlberg challenges, today the intellectual property field is pretty much on par with experts in other classes of litigation, but we didn't used to be. The number of Dahlberg challenges and successful challenges has been growing rapidly over time. And in our view, it's a real market development risk because it breeds uncertainty. And this is something that needs to be addressed by the courts so that there's greater predictability for what your damages are likely to be when presented and therefore what they're likely to be when awarded. And we encourage members of the bar to begin to focus on this as a strategic issue.